Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to The Division 2. And today, it's been a minute, but I'm coming at you with a lore video. It has been a while since we really discussed the story here on the channel, save for the Year 6 Season 2 finale that went down a few weeks ago, but even that didn't really have much substance to it. Honestly, not much has been happening in terms of the story for quite a while. It truly does feel like we are kind of in a holdover pattern until the Brooklyn DLC is ready to finally launch. And so, in the meantime, they've been filling the comms and various lore drops with stuff like different characters interacting. We get a little bit of illumination to their backstories, things like that. However, some of these recent drops that we've gotten have finally changed that, at least in my mind. And so in this video, I want to discuss the significance of some of these recent drops, tie it back into previously discussed lore and theory, stuff that I find super intriguing personally, and in the process chart out even more potential storylines for Battle for Brooklyn. So be warned, there are spoilers ahead for this season, Burden of Truth's, Manhunt Comms, and all prior seasons and Division 2 storylines. Click off if you don't want to hear about those, but we're going to get right to it. If you end up enjoying the video and you want to stay up to date on everything with the Division 2, from story to game updates and more, then I hope you will consider clicking that subscribe button if you've not already. And without further ado, let's go. Alright, so in this video we have two different comms that I want to take a look at and discuss. Before we get to them, it is pretty vital that you have an understanding of the underground city concept from the Division 2's more recent lore. If you know what that is by me just saying it, then you're good. If you don't, and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? I do highly recommend that you check out this video that I'm putting the thumbnail for on screen. I'll have a link for it in the upper corner and down in the description, but it goes over everything you would need to know about the underground city that they have been teasing in the Division story. If you refuse to click off the video and you just want to know the details here, the most basic of premises I can give you is that Natalia Sokolova may have planned out to build or is currently building an underground city, a city whose function would assumedly be to evade nuclear fallout in the wake of her prior plans to use President Andrew Ellis to press the nuclear button. Basically, they would just go down there and let everybody else die off. So, some very lighthearted concepts indeed, but with that in mind, here's comm number one.
She can always say no. I won't be disappointed if she doesn't want to do it.
What we're asking her to do is less extreme than what she's already done.
It's gonna involve some role-playing and an uncomfortable outfit.
Nothing she hadn't done before.
Oof. She'll have to talk to him and be respectful and make him feel like the most important person in the world.
Okay, well that is a challenge. He's a fucking idiot.
He is.
But he is the president, and until he resigns and names his successor or dies, he is the only one with access and the authority to activate the ARC protocol.
Can we just call it the football? This clandestine naming shit is hard to follow and frankly kind of annoying.
Whatever makes you more comfortable.
Alright, so it's cool to see Keener and Viper here discussing Faye Lau becoming a Black Tusk operative, as we know happened around the events of Warlords of New York. Of course, we knew that Faye was never actually on the side of Natalia and the Black Tusk, but it was cool to hear some of the behind the scenes of what she had to do to really fit in, and it makes it pretty clear, although we knew this already, that her main objective was to get access to President Andrew Ellis. In reference to him and the president's powers overall, we hear Keener mention something called the ARC protocol, and this was the main thing that really sparked my interest. I believe this is the first ever mention or reference that we've had to that, and I think that it lends credence to the concept of the underground city. The spelling of ARC here, A-R-K, makes it a pretty clear reference in my mind to the biblical concept of Noah's Ark. However, by Keener mentioning that the president has the authority to activate this protocol, that could suggest that contrary to what we thought before, maybe the underground city, if it does exist, wasn't actually built by Natalia, but it is something that the US government constructed, and she simply got the blueprints for it, maybe to either figure out where it is or what its capabilities were. But in my mind, if the president has the authority to activate something called the ARC protocol, I would think that means they activate the nuclear arsenal and nuke the country, or even the entire Earth, but that then beyond that initial action, there is a dedicated plan to place a certain number or type of people in this underground city, bring the required amount of food to live there, and essentially just be set up with the sustainable materials and animals, whatever you need, to restart a proper society once it is safe to come back above ground. So that is just my interpretation and theory of what Keener might be referring to here with the ARC protocol, but I thought that was a pretty interesting revelation given everything else that we know about this overall part of the story. We've got one more comm here though, take a listen.
We're set? You got the green light?
Yes.
Faye Lau actually agreed to kill the President of the United States?
She agreed to play the politics, and if necessary, kill Ellis. She refuses to call him POTUS. She'll go through Nat's test to join her new BTSU, test her skills as a leader, and to antagonize the shit out of Schaefer for Nat's pleasure.
What's going on there? I thought he was her most loyal soldier.
He got kicked from Alice's security detail, so now she has to solve a problem he created. In Nat's mind, that makes you her sworn enemy.
Good to know.
Whatever you do not question her or break her systems. Efficiency at all costs. Acceptable loss is personnel. Her systems are infallible and cannot be questioned.
You make her sound like a psychopath.
Or a narcissist? Or undiagnosed autistic? Who the fuck knows? She just cannot accept that she got anything wrong. You spent your whole childhood with no one telling you no. It can turn you into a pretty privileged asshole as an adult. Give that adult unlimited resources and a private army, and well, here we are.
So, of course, we see more discussions here between Keener and Viper on Faye and Ellis. What I really liked about this comm was the illumination that it kind of gives to Barton Schaefer and Natalia Sokolova's relationship. At least to me, and I know this is the same with some other people that I've talked to who are big into the story. The kind of uphill battle treatment that Barton was put through back in his own season, Concealed Agenda, never made a ton of sense, right? Because Barton went from this highly trusted and top leader of the BTSU to suddenly he was put in this unwinnable situation where he was trying to coordinate with all these different rogue assets, and we heard his frustration with that in the comms from that season. But then Faye Lau goes and joins the Black Tusk, and she immediately gets jurisdiction over Barton. Back in the day, it all seemed a little bit confusing, but as they outline here, rightly, Keener says wasn't Barton one of Nat's most loyal soldiers, but Viper confirms that he got kicked out from Ellis's security detail. I don't know what exactly triggered this, but maybe it was the initial version of Camp White Oak. If you'll remember, the base version of the mission sees us trying to get Ellis, but he ultimately gets to escape. But perhaps Natalia really was not pleased that we were even able to get that close to him, and she blamed Barton for that. So of course a few details are still missing here, but I always appreciate explanations to this kind of stuff, even if they come years later. Further on in the comm, they go on to discuss Natalia's personality type and behaviors, and while most of it was stuff that we already knew, to me it was quite refreshing to hear, given that she has been pretty much absent from the story for a long amount of time. We really haven't heard much at all from her since the Kelso finale mission in the Vanguard season at Stranded Tanker. In the world, that event only took place a few days ago, but you know, in our real life, that's a long time. And so, it just has me all the more looking forward to continuing on with that storyline, and hopefully finally directly confronting her come the release of the Battle for Brooklyn DLC. My friends, that is just about everything that I have for this video. No, like, bombshell major reveals here, but this is a trend in my opinion to get more back on track with relevant and intriguing lore drops, especially with them potentially tying this stuff into the Underground City concept. That was one of the most intriguing elements of the past few seasons in my mind. So I really hope you all enjoyed this kind of wading back into the water with lore videos, if you will. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think about some of these most recent comms? Do you have any theories yourself on what the ARC protocol that Keener refers to may really be? But also more broadly, what are your thoughts on the story right now? Do you think that we are more or less in a holdover pattern until the DLC gets here? Maybe you're perfectly content with all these drops that we're getting. Whatever your thoughts are, as always, feel free to leave them down below. I look forward to reading through them. I will, of course, continue to keep you all up to date on any other big plot reveals that we learn throughout the season here. And yeah, that finale mission can't come soon enough. That's going to do it for me on this one, though, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Out.